Yo guys, what is going on? Legendary here, and today I just wanted to go over a couple of two different things actually, a couple of things. So essentially, this video is going to be talking about looping. So, what is looping? Well, I'm glad you asked because this can be a loop, and this can also be a loop. But what's the difference? Oh, thank you, game, for the box. So what's the difference? What's the difference between this and this? Why are these so different? Well, first of all, these items here, not just specifically this item. There is many items in the game as of right now that will do this. When you click on, if you go on here and you open this menu, if you don't know this yet, if you press F, it will open this menu here, as you can see, and it will give you all of the details to do with the item. The main thing that we're going to look at here, ignore the upgrade, ignore the tag, ignore the speed for now. The thing that you want to look for is the use limit. Now, this right here is a cache grader, in my opinion. You can call it what you want, there's many names for it, but it's a cache grader. Because this will go up, it can be used infinitely up to the point where it hits 81,000. Now yes, it might slightly over upgrade and give you a little bit more than 81,000, but that's the peak. As soon as that ore is worth more than 81,000, the game says no more. And the game doesn't allow it to upgrade. Which is when, obviously, you would find the next best one, which is this one, and then you would again place 3 more, or however many more, of this. And again, this is just my numbers, by the way, so, you know, you can, it'll be 5,000 when you first start the game, and the minimum value will be 1,000, but mine is 0 and goes up to 85,000, right? So this one again is, you can start this at any amount, but it goes up to 1,000, and then this goes up to 5,000, but obviously my numbers are different. Now that we've talked about this and we understand what a cache grader is, what is a loop grader? This is a loop grader. Now the reason we call these loop graders, or some people call them loop graders, is because this item specifically can be used more than once. There is obviously some better than others that we would either use multiple of, or we would prefer to put them in a loop. Now this one sometimes isn't put in a loop, but I'm not gonna lie, I would put this at the start of my setup so it's done and it's out of the way because it's a high upgrader. However, there is other items in the game that can be used in loops. So for example, a very, very common one is this one. Or, well, actually, if you haven't got the shiny version, it's the Oxymoron. But if you have, it's the Flash of Genius. Now this one right here is probably one of the best loop graders you can use, because it empowers the ores, but it can be used twice, and it will gain 8 times over 3 seconds, which is fantastic. Ores are weakened and will lose 75% value over the thing, and obviously there's I can't remember the way around that, but like, you know, it's fine. But again, it's one of the better ones you can get. Now, there is obviously more than just that one, but how would we go about putting that in a setup, especially when there are larger numbers like this, 16? Well, the way that we would go about that is quite unique. It's actually quite it's sometimes quite difficult to make a loop setup, but sometimes it's actually fairly easy. Now these ones are the easiest ones you can do because you put them in a line and you make a start and a finish and you find the total value and then you send it into your setup. So for example, I'll make a quick setup for us. So now that we've got our setup made, so it's a teleporter at the start, your upgrade is here, and then another teleporter of the same kind as the one that you put at the start, with a value filter here, and finally either a teleporter, or if you just want your furnace there to get some quick money, it's completely up to you. The way that you would do this is you'd find out the total value. So this is the highest amount that you can get out of this. So 85,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to 85,000, right? And click yes. And then we're going to make this greater than 85,000. Or if you want, just to make sure that I'm not completely wrong, you can do 84,900. Oh, okay, I did 85,000 again. 84,900. There. And then that just guarantees that when it's greater than 84,000, which 85,000, the total value, it will go into the furnace. So I'll quickly send some ores through, and we'll see what happens. So while these are going through, I thought it would be especially really special to mention this while I'm on with it, is why do we not want to use both upgraders or loop graders with cache graders? Sorry, as you can see, just quickly before I continue, we're getting a bit more. I get more from a furnace than you do, because if you don't have upgrades, it won't do that. But you should have got around 85,000 from that, and that just shows that that does what it does, and it gets rid of the ores whenever they're ready. Now, the thing I was going to say was, why do we not cross over our upgrade or loop graders with cache graders? The reason why is because, remember, like I said, this only goes up to a certain number. So no matter what, these are going to keep on looping until it hits that number. And no matter whether this speeds it up, we do not want to add anything to it unless we can add another cache grader. Now, to speed it up, you would obviously, if you could, you would go in here and you would go, well, I can afford this, and obviously this is the next one up. Okay, let's just stick these in. And it means I can easily go from whatever to just quickly place these in. I can go, right, okay, well, this is all going to be a little bit faster now. Right? So it just means that things are going to speed up a tiny bit. There we go. But the reason you don't want to cross them over is because this will only go up to, like I said, 100,000 now, because I've added this. So we don't want to add anything to it. We don't want to touch it. We just want to let it loop and do its thing, even if it takes a long time. And then when it comes through to this part of the setup over here, even though there's nothing there, you can see my mouse, on this part of the setup over here, on here, what we'll do is we'll have all of our normal upgraders that we can use, and then maybe right at the end a loop that can use items more than once. And again, that will be our loop creators, which we'll chuck in there. We'll have everything that we can, and then a furnace maybe in this corner where we'll teleport to. And that's the easiest way to go about it. You cram as many items as possible into here, into a row, teleport lines, anything, just so that you can get the most money out of it. Now let me show you a loop grader setup. So now that we've done a little setup here, this isn't the best setup in the world, but this item is 3 times, even though it's not going to get 3 times, it's going to get 2. I haven't kind of optimized this, but these are 16 times, and I've kind of dotted them in wherever I can, along with these dual portable ones wherever I can as well, so they get the maximum upgrade. These twice, this twice, these are 4 times, so I've added 2. This is twice, 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 and then the rest are like 16 and things like that. And then this is my furnace, right? So now we're gonna head over to this thing here, which is called a lap counter, I think. Hold on, yeah, lap counter. Now this here will be teleported on the 3rd pass through. So essentially what that means is this will, if I set this value to 1, it will go through the first time, right? So that's 1. It'll go through again, but it will not teleport through this one. It will be sent over here and into this teleporter and in here. So it means it will loop through twice. It just means it won't go through the setup twice. It just means, like, you know what I mean? Like, it won't go through this teleporter twice. And essentially, if you wanted it to go through 3 times to get the full upgrade, you would have to set this value to 2. So I'll show you. I'll go over this and I will show. I'll use a faster, better mine this time. It'll be easier than waiting for stone to get all the way up there. So yeah, let's see. This won't take long. Yeah, there we go. So this should go through twice. You should see this all here go through the first time. There we go. And then it should teleport straight into the furnace once it's been through again. And that means it's got every single upgrade that has gone through twice. It's got the full upgrade. Now obviously this looks a little bit confusing because this is scientific notation. It just basically explains, all I know is like that this is how many zeros there is in the number. So that's how that works as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's kind of how I gather like how much money I'm getting from a setup and how I make it better and things. And obviously you can see it on the ores when they go through as well. So again, I can show this off again just to show this goes through a couple of times because it loops through these. It only takes a couple of seconds because they're already worth like 1 to 2k. So then they just loop through, get it worth 100k, they go through the first time, they loop through again. Because it's a lap upgrade, you're only doing a lap. So you go through and it gives all the money. So that's the difference between a cache grader and a loop grader. Loop graders, if you really, really desperately want to, you could have multiple of them in your setup. So you could fully like go ahead and do that. But you don't have to. You could do it in a loop and it would save you a lot more space, allow you to put more items, getting a better upgrade overall. Especially when you've got things like this, where you don't need to place 2 of them, but you can place 1 of them, loop it, and it'll give you the same. It'll give you like what, 13 times total. So yeah, it's very, very useful to know this, and it's very useful to optimize this kind of stuff in your setups. Otherwise, when it becomes endgame at the minute, as far as Reincarnated goes, as of this update, it will get significantly difficult when you cannot figure out what to do with your setup because you don't know what to add, because you're out of room, you don't know where to go. You cannot optimize all of your blueprints because you haven't remembered, oh, I could get rid of these 2 because this already does it for me, because it goes through 4 times or something like that. I mean, there's these as well. I mean, there's these can go through 10 times, and there's not that many way up high upgraders. And oh wait, hold on, did they remove the thing? I don't know if they did, but essentially this causes side effects if it's used more than once. Don't know what the side effects are, but yeah. So yeah, that's going to be everything for today, guys. I hope this has kind of opened some eyes on how this stuff works. And obviously it's not the best thing to learn, and as well as that, sometimes some people might already know it and they might be like, bro, what are you talking about? I already know all of this stuff. That is completely fine. This was mainly for a tutorial on those who don't understand the difference between a cache grader and a loop upgrader and wanted to know the difference. I try to make it as quick as possible. I'm not trying to, rush it. If people need help, make sure to go and join the Reincarnated Discord. It is in the game description, the very bottom. And make sure you get your dev eggs before the Easter event runs out, because I don't know how long that's going to last. And obviously, I've got my trophy now for it as well, so I don't know how long it'll last, because eventually it will go away. So anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope this has helped. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye now.